trying to think of some, well, possibly JFK. We're not going to have to get off track.
Yeah, honestly, the more that comes out about JFK, the more I suspect that Israel had certainly aligned interests. And I bet that there was some level of mob or like, I bet there was something there.
There's a connection between Israel and the CIA.
Oh, certainly. Yeah.
James, was it Angleton?
James Jesus Angleton.
Yeah.
So like the CIA and Mossad / Israeli intelligence have been linked at the hip for ages.
No, that's what I really started realizing. The CIA and Mossad go like directly. You can't just blame Israel. You got to say, okay, the CIA is very connected in all this too.
Yeah.
Same thing. I don't want to get off track with 9/11 because that's such a crazy rabbit hole to go down.
But it's an important one, dude. And it's one that more and more is like, I think it's kind of this hole in everyone's awareness right now because we're all on the Epstein stuff. We're all on the Diddy stuff. We're all on the JFK stuff. But like, if you like center in the middle there, the biggest one of all in many ways is 9/11.
Really big.
And the crazy thing that no one is really talking about, I don't know if it's because we're not thinking of it or because we're afraid to make the suggestion, but like 9/11 was right in the middle of Jeffrey Epstein's prime time. 9/11 is when that was the height of Jeffrey Epstein's influence operation.
They needed all that power right then.
And some people in our government covered that shit up so good.
Well, also during 9/11, you know, all the art students, right? There's all these Israeli art students.
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds of them here. Lots of them specialize in like hacking systems and phones.
Yep. Ex-demolitions experts are in those documents.
It's like, it's pretty crazy. Like, I don't want to go off. We could do a whole podcast.
We could do a whole podcast
on 9/11 right now, but it's sorry going down that rabbit hole in yours.
Yeah. The more I'm thinking about it, I'm just starting to wonder more and more. Like, how did so why aren't we allowed to talk about the Israeli connection to 9/11 through the Israeli art student stuff, through the dancing Israeli stuff, the deportation of those Israelis, all that stuff? I mean, like the owner, all these things.
Yeah, the guy that got those guys deported. Who was it? It was a dual citizen. His mom helped.
I actually forget his name right now.
But his mom helped found Mossad. It's just like crazy.
A lot of questions, right? And then when you put that side by side with Jeffrey Epstein being at the height of his power right then, with Bush being in the White House and the Bush family is like 100% one of the key threads of the American side of this sort of global deep state
brother
thing.
ran security for
exactly.
I don't know why no one ever mentions that. I remember I stumbled across that one, and that can't be true. And looked it up, and it was true.
His brother runs security
for the place.
And I forget what I haven't double checked the accusation, but there's an accusation that he pulled all of the sniffer dogs out of the building 2 days before or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So it's just like lots of questions, and obviously the cover-up is massive. I think we can all agree, whether or not Israel's involved in 9/11, I think the whole world pretty much agrees that 9/11 was something of an inside job. But the question is, I think that for a long time, Americans assumed 9/11 was an inside job because there's evil Americans that for some reason wanted to go to war in Afghanistan and Iraq. And to some degree, but when we realize now, 10, 20 years later, that there's a giant fucking blackmail operation that had the presidents of the United States, high members of our government, senators, celebrities, financiers, and they're all blackmailed on behalf of Israel. It's like suddenly you start to see a bigger picture, and not just on behalf of Israel. I think that Epstein's operation, though his cell was all Israelis,
it was his all seemed very, very Jewish. Organization.
But I suspect that there's like Diddy's cell. I would imagine that Diddy is probably answering to the same kind of overlords that are sort of running this like kind of global cabal. And I would assume they have other blackmail cells out there. Like
I would think so.
This is the deep state. And you only get that kind of power if you're working with these high level kind of CIA and Mossad and like probably Saudi intelligence. If you're working with high level corporate like bankers, high level government, like those are the kind of evil folks that are in that kind of organized crime organization, that mafia. And like 9/11 has all the hallmarks of the cover up being run by that mafia, by that.
Yeah. We got one last thing in 9/11. Then I want to get to Diddy and stuff.
Yeah.
They did massive short selling versus American and United right before. And they investigated it because, it wasn't Muslims. They're like, oh, no inside knowledge. They don't say who the people were, but I bet I could guess. Like, how crazy is that? I think it was 100 times the normal. And the same thing with October 7th. People shorting so they get rich off it, too. That's how brazen they are.
Exactly. And it's crazy that they would do that because that clearly leaves a paper trail.
No, but they did.
But they've gotten away with it every time so far.
Yeah, and those were literally they took the two airlines that were hijacked, and they did massive shorts against them, made billions of dollars. It's just so brazen.
And honestly, October 7th fits the pattern too. I just recently, I've been looking into this. I'm going to do an episode on it this week actually, because when you look at October 7th, it fits the exact same pattern where they knew about it in advance. Israeli military intelligence, Israeli like Mossad. Maybe it's Shin Bet. I don't know. I don't know if it's domestic or foreign that handles this intelligence, but they had multiple reports coming in that Hamas is preparing for a massive thing. And they ignored those reports. But then 2 days before the actual attack, they moved two whole battalions, 100 like a couple hundred men off the border of Gaza. And then when it did happen, like obviously they didn't respond for forever. And then when they did respond, they did the Hannibal Directive. And like this is all sourceable from the times of Israel.
Hannibal Directive, they come in and kill their own people.
Exactly, right? And then once the investigation started to ramp up, they actually they came in and shut the whole investigation down because I mean
I didn't know
can't
that
imagine. Yeah, can't imagine why. And so there's just all these elements of like that looks like a false flag.
And look
right?
who they killed too, the hippies. The
Yeah,
people that would
they
be
killed
against
the
war.
leftists.
They put them down there, the guys that were partying at a festival, like people
Yeah.
they hate, you know. They're like, let's get rid of these people.
Yeah, and it's a fucking tragedy in my opinion. Like I feel for those
it's
people.
terrible.
That's so
Terrible.
much
Yeah.
like that death is evil and sad anywhere it happens. And it's just such a like it sucks when I see people that are like on the anti-Israel side go so far as to like
They lose
demean
humanity.
those people's lives too. Because they're people too. They're just trying to have a good time. And even if some of them were like shitty people or like fought in the IDF, it's like I still don't condemn them to death, right? Like I still feel for them and their
Everyone
families.
innocent dying.
It's just like, but I hate that they successfully ran a propaganda campaign around that to paint it as though that was just terrorists doing terrorisms instead of like we have a lot of evidence to show that it was terrorists doing terrorism on behalf of a much bigger plan, that whether they knew it or not, like, you know, they were operating in a bigger puzzle, in a bigger picture.
Yeah.
And obviously like we don't have proof of a lot of that because that's how these things are designed.